Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar, Windows Virtual Desktop, Scale Your Business and Boost Productivity. Welcome to everyone that is new to Maritime Cloud. I know that we have some customers, existing customers of ours joining us today, so welcome back to those people that already know us. For new people joining, as is the case with some of these sessions, they're not an in-depth technical session. So this is a business benefits focus session. There is chance to talk to us outside of this webinar, and we'll tell you more about that in a minute. There is a Q&A button in the Teams client, so anytime that you want to ask a question throughout the webinar, just enter it in that Q&A section, pressing the Q&A button, and at the end of the webinar, there will be time for us to answer your questions. So introducing the presenters today. So it'll be myself, Sean Ritchie. I'm the CTO of Maritime Cloud. Obviously being the CTO, focusing very much on technology and helping our customers choose and implement the right technology to help their business. Also on the webinar today is Lucas, so Łukasz Kazimierczak. He's one of our cloud engineers at Maritime Cloud, specializing in Azure, Microsoft 365, and other cloud-based technologies. So the agenda for the webinar, you would have seen this on the landing page when you registered. So we'll discuss what is Windows Virtual Desktop for those people that are new to this technology or maybe unfamiliar with what virtual desktops are. We'll go into that. Why Windows Virtual Desktop has the best user experience. That's Łukasz is going to cover that, and how it also protects your business apps and data. And then I'll be talking about how WVD scales with your business and helps you to drive cost savings. And then we'll have a look at some of the use cases for Windows Virtual Desktop. And as I said, we'll have time for Q&A at the end. I'll quickly go through about just a bit about Maritime Cloud. So we are a Microsoft Gold partner, a born in the cloud managed service provider, and we're helping our customers and businesses to deliver next-gen technology that helps them work smarter and make their organizations more agile and more competitive. And in terms of our technical capabilities, so we have 4 technology pillars really that we focus on. So that's modern workplace, things like Microsoft 365, Teams, everybody will be familiar with that. And of course, Windows Virtual Desktop. Cloud infrastructure and applications, so everything in Azure, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, but we also deal with things like the traditional on-prem technologies like VMware, Hyper-V, and also app containers as well. Of course, security is one of our focuses. EMS, advanced threat protection, data loss prevention, and obviously Intune, which a lot of companies are adopting for MDM and mobile application management. And we also partner with another organization for business apps and data, so business intelligence, Power BI, Power Automate, those sorts of things. And we deliver work to our customers through a range of short to mid-term project-based engagements or flexible longer-term managed services contracts. And we're also a Microsoft CSP. Again, if you're not familiar with what that is, it allows us to resell Microsoft Cloud services to our customers at the same price or lower than what you get direct from Microsoft. And that allows us to offer a single relationship to our customers for purchasing cloud services, professional services, and also managed services, so support as well. And just a bit about our journey. Before we started Meritum Cloud, as co-founders, we worked together on many enterprise projects for the likes of Freshfield, RBS, Barclays. And then when we started Meritum Cloud in 2014, we were taking our enterprise knowledge and delivering a number of projects for small, medium, and large businesses across a number of verticals. So we've done everything from full cloud transformations, Azure, Office 365, and Intune roadmaps. You know, some of them lasting up to 3 years. And we also do managed services where we support customers, you know, from literally from the desktop through to their cloud infrastructure running in Azure. And we've also delivered Power BI projects as well. Most recently, we're doing work for the Elton John AIDS Foundation. So there's probably some names that you recognize here. In terms of our partnerships, again, we're a small, very focused consultancy and managed service. We're still a triple Microsoft Gold partner, soon to also be a Gold partner in security with Microsoft as well. So we'll have 4 Gold competencies. And we also partner with a number of other vendors and distributors to deliver services that really complement the Microsoft Cloud. We are on social media, as everybody is. You can see the details here, and you can follow us on social media. But we'll be sharing this this deck and the recording afterwards, so you don't need to write all this down. As I said earlier, we're not covering everything in this webinar, and we try to really be as generous as possible with our free time. We've decided to offer a 1-hour free consultation to those that have joined us today. And this here is Kasia, who is our super friendly customer success manager. We asked for her for a picture, and this was the best one we've got. If you follow us on LinkedIn, you've probably seen a lot of Kasia posting things, and this is her posting using her remote and collaboration tools to work from her balcony, I think it looks like. So Kasia will be in contact probably during the week to get your feedback and see if there's anything that we can help you with around Windows Virtual Desktop or Azure in general. So I'm going to now go into the content of the webinar and talk about what is Windows Virtual Desktop. But before talking about the nuts and bolts of Windows Virtual Desktop, let's talk about what businesses and employees expect from IT and from a modern workplace solution. So keeping your business safe is obviously a priority for businesses and IT teams, and with dispersed workers and shared documents and employees accessing documents from lots of different locations, it can be really difficult to ensure that sensitive information remains safe and within the business. And obviously, as we all know now, work is no longer constrained to the office, and employees need to, stay productive, whether they're working remotely, in the field or on site, or as a lot of people do now, working from home. And employees also expect their tools to be personalized and meet their individual demands, and different roles require different applications and different types of resources. So the way that Windows Virtual Desktop helps with this is what Windows Virtual Desktop is. It's a exclusively available on Microsoft Azure, so it's a cloud-based, cloud-hosted service, and it allows your employees to securely access Windows 10 Desktop, running Office 365 applications and your business apps and data. And you can also seamlessly access line of business applications separately as well outside of a desktop. So it's much easier to see Windows Virtual Desktop than try to visualize it. So from an employee's perspective, this is the kind of interface they would see if they wanted to run a Windows Virtual Desktop. So they use the remote desktop client and they would have access to a desktop or a number of desktops that they would be able to run. And in terms of applications, again, if we were giving them access just to applications, then this is what they might see in their interface. And actually people can have a combination of both applications and desktops. And then when they ran, if they ran a virtual workspace or a desktop, this is what it would look like to them. So it's just a Windows desktop as you would know it, and it can either be running inside a browser window or running in the remote desktop client. And if they were running an application, then if they're running a single application, then it will just look like an application running locally on the machine. So Windows Virtual Desktop is now available worldwide, and it allows your teams to be productive regardless of where they're located or the type of device that they're using, and they can have a local-like experience using Office 365, using your business apps, and even using things like Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft have made sure that all the tools that they offer will work as well in a remote desktop as they do locally. And Windows Virtual Desktop can be deployed in a matter of hours. So we've actually developed an automated solution for deploying Windows Virtual Desktop in Azure. And that means it can be deployed very quickly. And once you've deployed it, you can then automatically scale it up and scale it down based on the demands of your workforce. It's a great solution for delivering legacy applications. Going to go into more detail about that later. But any apps that can't be modernized can be delivered using Windows Virtual Desktop. And Windows Virtual Desktop sits on Azure. So it's one of the most secure and compliant public clouds. And that's all baked into Windows Virtual Desktop as well. And also it's included in many of the existing Microsoft SaaS subscriptions. So I'm sure many people, many businesses that have joined the webinar today, are familiar with these types of subscriptions and already have them within their business. And if you have these subscriptions already, then it means you are already eligible to use Windows Virtual Desktop service. So I'm going to pass over now to Wukash, who's just going to tell us about why Windows Virtual Desktop has the best user experience.
Thanks, Sean. So let's talk about user experience with WVD. Windows Virtual Desktop offers one of the best user experience available for remote working. So employees can securely connect to their desktop from any device and anywhere with the internet access. They remain productive from any location, regardless of type or performance of the device they are using. Windows Virtual Desktop is the best virtualized Windows and Office experience. It gives employees the tools they need on any device. A specially optimized version of Teams gives a local performance even for audio and video calls. This means employers can communicate and collaborate the same as they would using a local desktop or laptop. Employees get the specific tools and application they need based on their role or department. Personalization ensures they always have the same familiar desktop and settings every time they log on. Employees can use their favorite type of devices to access their desktop or application and transition easily from the office to the field. As would be expected, a large range of devices are supported, including Windows devices, macOS devices, iOS, and Android devices. Historically, ensuring a consistent and performant user experience with VDI or remote workspaces has been a challenge. Windows Virtual Desktop has been designed to work with Office 365. Containers make sure that data employees need is available at logon time. This means Outlook, OneDrive, Teams, and Windows Search all perform as well as if using a local desktop. As soon as you launch an Office application within WVD session, you can access your emails, load OneDrive files, or search your data without having to wait for anything to load. This reduces wasted time and frustration and makes employees more productive. Windows Virtual Desktop comes with the security of Azure, which means that you can easily assign roles, grant permission, and manage secure sign-on through Azure AD. It's combined the security of Microsoft 365 and Azure to make with some new features in the platform to make it one of the most secure and robust cloud-hosted desktop solution available. Microsoft 365 offers conditional access, which allows us to manage how employees can access WVD and under what scenario we are ensuring your business is protected at all times. And multi-factor authentication, which I'm sure you have all heard of, prevents hackers gaining access using stolen password, and role-based access gives your employees access to only the resources that you need. Azure, when we consider Azure, we must know that Microsoft has invested over $1 billion in cybersecurity. Individual business cannot come anywhere near this kind of spending for their security. Azure also has over 90 compliance offerings globally, which means business can be confident their apps and data are secure when hosted in the Azure cloud. When Microsoft built Windows Virtual Desktop, security obviously was at the forefront of their approach. Features like reverse connect means your environment is never vulnerable to the internet, protection your business apps and data. Integrated Azure AD authentication means your employee can use the same username and password that they use on-prem or on Office 365. This ensures fast user onboarding and offboarding and secure access to your business using one set of the secure credentials. So come back to you, Sean.
Thanks very much. So I'm going to talk about how WVD scales with your business and helps to drive cost savings. So with Windows Virtual Desktop, you have the possibility of doing auto scaling. So what that means is we can turn desktops on and off when they're not in use. So an example of this would be a call center that has different types of shift patterns. So obviously, most likely in call centers, the night shift, there's going to be less people working on that type of shift. And therefore, Windows Virtual Desktop would only power on the required number of desktops for the people that are working at that time. And that means that you're only paying for those desktops when they're running. in Azure. Scaling is about turning existing desktops on and off, but businesses often have requirements for things like a new team, a project, or initiative. And with Windows Virtual Desktop, it's really easy to quickly add this type of capacity to meet these demands of the business. And then once we're finished, if that new capacity is no longer required, then we can easily just remove that. So there's no upfront investment required for hardware to meet these kind of demands. And then afterwards, there's no wastage because you haven't purchased that hardware, which is no longer required after the project's finished. And obviously, the great thing about it being a cloud-hosted virtual desktop solution is the performance of desktops can easily be changed based on your employees' needs. So you can have pools of desktops with different types of performance profiles, or you can even change or redeploy your desktops with a new specification. So it's really quick and easy to be able to make these sorts of changes to the desktop environment. And people that are familiar with virtual desktop solutions, specifically on-prem solutions, will know that management infrastructure, the infrastructure that you need to manage a virtual desktop solution, can cause issues, can cause business downtime due to faults or insufficient capacity. And with Windows Virtual Desktop, Microsoft manages all of that infrastructure for you. And that means it's highly available, it's resilient, and it scales to meet the demands of your business. And Windows Virtual Desktop is a really cost-effective solution. And as we said, most customers are already licensed for Windows Virtual Desktop. That means for most businesses, there's no upfront licensing cost. And this really greatly reduces the cost compared to other vendor solutions. And even if you don't have those licenses that I showed you on the previous slide at the beginning, the entry-level pricing for Windows Virtual Desktop is really competitive. So really, with any subscription that includes Windows 10 Enterprise, then you are licensed to use Windows Virtual Desktop. So it's very competitive in terms of pricing. And as with most cloud services, Azure and Windows Virtual Desktop pricing, when we're talking about running desktops, the cost of running desktops in the cloud, it's a pay-as-you-go model. So this kind of OPEX-based cost means there's no large investment upfront to get started with Windows Virtual Desktop. And it's easy to manage monthly billing. So that really makes it really simple for IT budgeting and to manage those costs. And you can maximize your existing investments by using hybrid clouds. So if anyone's not familiar with hybrid cloud, it means that you can actually connect your existing infrastructure that is on-prem to the cloud and to Windows Virtual Desktop. And that means you can start moving some of your users to Windows Virtual Desktop. Don't necessarily have to move all of your users in one go, and you can also sweat some of your existing VDI or desktop assets. So it's Microsoft has never been about a all-in cloud approach, and of the cloud providers, Microsoft is really the one that understands hybrid cloud. And as I said before, you pay for what you use. So virtual machine pricing is by the minute. You only pay for when you're using those virtual machines. If you shut those desktops down, then you're only paying for the cost of storage, which in the cloud is relatively cheap. And you can also save further like 72%, I think it is, by using reserved instances. And what reserved instances are is a way to actually purchase capacity up front, and then you actually get a huge saving. And now, strangely enough, you can actually purchase capacity up front. It used to be you had to pay for 1 year or 3 years, but you actually can pay for that monthly. So it's a 1 or 3 year contract, but you can pay for it monthly. So I'm going to talk about the Windows Virtual Desktop use cases now. And Windows Virtual Desktop has been a really popular choice for lots of businesses in the last 6 to 9 months for obvious reasons. You know, the COVID pandemic, but also as a solution, it ticks a lot of boxes for many different industries and organizations with lots of different requirements. So we've got use cases in you know, security and regulated industries like financial services and healthcare. Helps things with elastic workforce, so short-term employees. I was talking about call centers earlier, and things like bring your own device or mobile workers, and also with specialized workloads and helping design and engineering and legacy application delivery. So I'm going to go into a few of these use cases in a bit more detail. So one is bring your own device, BYOD, and mobile. And Windows Virtual Desktop is a really good solution for BYOD, and it allows your employees to use untrusted personal devices to be able to access your work environment. And that means that they can use devices regardless of whether these are trusted or not, and you can be certain that none of your business data is going to be able to get out of your Windows Virtual Desktop environment. But at the same time, nothing from their device, you know, things like malware, viruses, is going to be able to go into your business environment either. So this means, I mean, it's a great solution, it's secure, but it also means that new employees can be up and running in minutes by just giving them a Windows Virtual Desktop, rather than having to provision a new laptop or desktop for them. And in the current climate where people are working from home, then this negates the need for new joiners to come into an office to collect a device, or to have a device built and then shipped to them, which is not only an overhead for your IT department, but it's also takes time and effort and costs money to do that sort of thing. So it's a really fast way to provision new joiners, but also at the same time, IT stay in control of the way that people access your business desktops or business applications and data. And everybody knows, talking about financial services, everybody knows that financial services is a heavily regulated industry. You know, the IT in these types of organizations, IT has to work really hard to make sure that they meet the demands of the organization and ensure compliance. And Microsoft really understand these challenges, and they've invested billions in security and compliance, as we've already said. And they've managed to secure a lot of business from regulated industries, and we're actually working with customers, heavily regulated customers in finance, and who have invested a lot in Azure. And they support over 90 regulations, things like GDPR and ISO 27001. And you know, more relevantly in the UK, Azure's achieved compliance with the FCA and PRA standards as well. And also, what is extremely important for these types of customers is with Azure, Microsoft allows you to choose where you host your desktops and ultimately where you put your business data and applications. So, and for design and engineering is another really good use case, and Windows Virtual Desktop, as you sort of might think it is, but it's not just for task-based workers. It's a really good solution for high-performance workloads like those that are required for design and engineering teams. So I said earlier that you can change the performance profiles of your desktops, and you can have pools of desktops of different performance profiles. And you can even get in Azure desktops with dedicated GPU cards from the likes of NVIDIA. So you can have dedicated graphics cards, or even actually a share of a graphics card, which makes it more cost effective. And this means that employees that need these kind of performance profiles can get the performance that they need, even if they are connecting from a really low spec machine. So they can get access to the tools, the applications that they need to do their jobs, regardless of whether they have a really low spec laptop or even if they're using their own home device as well. And this allows you to extend the life of your existing IT assets. So if you have an aging laptop or desktop estate, it means that you can sweat that investment a bit further and still give your teams access to the right kind of performance that they need. So mergers and acquisitions, we've worked at businesses that have rapidly expand, and I'm sure there's people that understand this. And when it comes to mergers and acquisitions, one of the kind of key things for the business is to make sure that merger or acquisition happens as quickly as possible, because the employees cannot integrate into the new business and start becoming efficient if they don't have access to the new company systems, or they don't have access to the right tools to be able to integrate with the new business. So Windows Virtual Desktop is a really quick time to market to be able to give incoming employees access to, it could be a full desktop, or you could actually just give them access to selective applications and data by giving them access to published applications through Windows Virtual Desktop. And that means in terms of IT and in terms of the time to market, you don't need to have complicated network links set up, etc., to be able to integrate those employees very quickly. And so the last use case that we're going to talk about is legacy applications. And I'm sure every business has applications that were either developed by in-house teams that possibly no longer around, or they just have applications that are no longer supported by a vendor because they simply haven't upgraded them, or in some cases I've seen the vendors gone out of business, but the business that uses that application still relies on it heavily. And often these apps can't actually be re-architected to run natively on the cloud. So what you can actually do is extend the life of these applications by virtualizing them and delivering them using Windows Virtual Desktop. So that could be from a Windows 7 machine, or it could be from Windows Server 2012. And with Windows 7, people will know that the security updates are no longer available for Windows 7. But if you are using this Windows 7 in Azure, then you get extended security updates. So that really allows you to extend the life cycle of legacy applications, and gives you more time to, I guess, migrate from those applications onto a different solution, or if possible, re-architect them over time to work in the cloud. So just summing things up now, because we are nearly at the time where we're ready to do Q&A. So Windows Virtual Desktop, it's secure, it's built on Azure, and it was designed, you know, with security in mind, as Microsoft do with all of their cloud-based products. And it's one of the most secure virtual desktop solutions available, and it's hugely scalable as well. And it's the right fit from everyone, from task workers to, you know, hungry power users, and it can scale up, scale out as well to meet the demands of your business. And it's a really cost-effective solution. As we've seen, it's available in most licenses that businesses already have, SaaS-based solutions, and it's you only pay for what you use, so you scale up, scale down, and pay as you go pricing makes it very cost effective. So really, yeah, that's why we're seeing a huge demand for Windows Virtual Desktop at the moment, and why so many businesses are either considering Windows Virtual Desktop as their first virtual desktop solution, or also businesses that have an existing virtual desktop or remote application solution are, you know, really looking at Windows Virtual Desktop and seeing it as a viable and much cheaper solution than what they're already using. So thank you very much for joining this webinar today. Appreciate it's only 45 minutes. We can't cover everything, as we said before. So please do get back to Kasia when she gets in contact. And yeah, if you want to know more, we'd be happy to jump on a call or a Teams meeting with you to go through things and really show you how Windows Virtual Desktop can work in your organization, do demos, that kind of thing. If you want to see it in action, we can definitely do all of that stuff. So thank you very much for joining, and let's move on to Q&A and see if we have any questions. Lucas, do we have any questions?
We do, actually. If you could just go back to your presentation at the moment. I think we've got the black screen presenting. There's a question from Rana about costings. Just replay that. Say I got a department of 10 users, all needs to access desktops from 8 AM to 6 PM. Do we get only charged when they log into the resource? For example, you would have to deallocate a machine to stop the charges.
Yeah, so with so with the auto scaling, Windows Virtual Desktop would turn on the desktops obviously with a buffer. So you would have a number of virtual desktops running available for people to log into, and then as somebody logs in, it would then turn on another desktop to maintain that buffer. But obviously, yeah, when those machines are running and available for somebody to log in, then you would be paying for them. And at the same time as scaling up, we can also, scale down as well as capacity drops off. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Some more questions coming in. Question from Adam. Some of our employees use iPads in the field. Could they use these to access WVD?
Yes, it is possible. There is dedicated application for iOS devices that allows to connect to the WVD.
Okay, excellent. And there was a question from Darren about Citrix, how that sits in the VDI space, and is it WVD an extension or a replacement?
Yeah, I guess it depends really. So I think it depends on the requirements of the business. Citrix and Microsoft did recently announce their new partnership. So they are definitely working, definitely working hand in hand. So you can deliver Windows 10 multi-session using Citrix. So yeah, you can actually use Citrix Cloud and Windows Virtual Desktop entitlements together. Yeah, I think definitely, whether you're going to replace Citrix, Citrix Cloud or Zen App and Zen Desktop with Windows Virtual Desktop, I guess, it's going to be looking at the kind of features that you use in Zen App and Zen Desktop, and really doing a feature comparison. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Sean. There's a question about Teams client optimization for a personal WVD, more a statement, but I guess it's about what's unique about Teams in WVD. I guess that's what the question would be.
Rukesh, do you want to answer that one?
Yes, no problem. So Microsoft Teams on WVD support chat and collaboration, and with media optimization, it also supports calling and meeting functionality. So I can answer in that way. So Microsoft, let me say, prepared the client, the media for working with WVD.
Sure.
Yeah, and the actual, so in terms of Teams, when you're talking about video or audio conferencing or calls, the video and audio traffic actually goes peer to peer. So even if you're accessing a Windows Virtual Desktop running in Azure, it offloads things to the local Teams client, which makes it much more efficient, and also means that you get that same video and audio quality that you would get from using a local Teams client.
Which we know has been a problem with any sort of video and voice conferencing from the sort of past VDI deployments, right?
Yeah,
just the physics and the time the packet needs to basically traverse the network and come back and all that. Okay, right. And I've got the last question, actually two more. So how do employees log into WVD, and can we use our existing usernames and passwords? I imagine that would be relating to like single sign-on or Office 365 AD.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go on, Wukash.
It depends on the scenario. Yes, we can use Azure AD Connect. If we consider a hybrid configuration, we can use Microsoft 365 account if company is on cloud only. But generally, yes, we can configure single sign-on and the same login and password as for Office 365.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Łukasz. We've got a question from Andy. That's good. That's quite a busy session, like never before. We want to use WVD with laptops. Can I use a Chromebook? These are much cheaper. Apologies, I've got kids coming. Anyway.
That's all right. You mute. I'll read it. So, all right. So Andy says, I want to use WVD with laptops. Can I use a Chromebook? These are much cheaper than Windows 10 laptops. Chromebooks start around 200. I also want to reduce the resource needed in building Windows 10 laptops. I want a standard laptop with Chrome on it with minimal preparation.
Okay. In the meantime, I have checked this, and you can also use the Android client on Chromebook to connect to WVD. So
yeah,
so it is possible.
Yeah, or you have the HTML5, right? So it can just run in a browser. So you can access WVD, from a Chrome browser window and run it natively in a browser. So yeah, definitely if you have the right, obviously if you have the right licensing for WVD, then that is possible to run it from a Chromebook. Yeah.
And I guess there is a second part of the question, which is the effortless build out of Windows 10 laptops. And to me, that sounds like autopilot, but you guys tell me if I got it right.
I think I think what he's saying is he wants to replace the Windows 10 laptops with WVD, and accessing it from Chromebooks. Yeah.
Apologies. Okay, of course, the first part overrides it. Okay, and we've got the one technical question from Rana. Virtual machine size. How would you select what CPU size you need or require? How would you?
So I mean, if you are talking about replacing either an existing VDI environment or actually just replacing local Windows desktops or laptops with WVD, then it would be a case of analyzing performance profiles of your existing users and then sizing your WVD environment based on that. There's tools that we have, for analyzing CPU memory usage, performance profiles, etc. And then we would use that to size Windows Virtual Desktop.
Okay, and what appears to be the last question from Andy: do I still need to use third-party antivirus software such as Symantec or any other within the Windows VDI?
I mean, I think it depends. I mean, it depends on the subscription you have, etc. I mean, you could use Windows Defender. It's definitely, if you are already running a antivirus solution in your estate, then you do need antivirus. Yes, definitely. And I guess it just depends on your preference, and if you're already running a solution, then it makes sense to stick with that across your whole estate. But definitely recommend having something. Yes.
Okay, that's excellent. Thanks for that, guys. I have no other questions. So I think we're fine, unless you want to share some of the questions from, I don't know, previous events or conversations, if we've got any.
See, trying to think of the kind of questions that we've had in the past. Yeah, I think we covered quite a lot here. Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Thanks for that, Sean and Łukasz. I guess, Sean, we can conclude the event.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. Really appreciate taking your time to join the webinar, and hopefully we will talk to you soon.
Excellent. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
thanks. Bye.